Hi guys, Curtin over here, and today I'm going to be giving my initial thoughts on the Sony A7R. I've had the Sony A7R for about 2 weeks now. I've moved away from Canon and I've moved over to Sony. It was a move based on what type of photography I'm primarily working at the moment. I specialise in nature photography, and that really comes down to landscape photography and time-lapse. And I do a lot of walking. I do a lot of hill walking through the hills of Scotland, Galley Forest, local areas, but I also try to get away to other areas. And the gear I was having is pretty heavy, you know. Anyone you ask who's a landscape photographer is using Nikon or Canon digital SLRs for landscape work, they will one of the gripes is that the gear is very heavy. I remember using the Nikon 14 to 24mm with the D800 in Iceland, and that setup was really heavy. You know, walking around with that on a tripod over your shoulder or in a bag, you do feel the weight, and when you add onto that with your other lenses in your bag, that does add quite a significant weight. And Sony they've been doing well with cameras over the last few years, but it's only been the last year where they've really made themselves aware to the public. And what I mean by that is the cameras that they are releasing over the last year are shouting out to photographers that we are here and we're not going anywhere. And basically they've been making some really good development in camera technology and moving forward into a different world. And I do believe mirrorless cameras plays a huge role in that. I don't think there's people always joke about mirrorless versus digital SLR. I don't think there's going to be a war between them. It's one or the other. It might eventually become where mirrorless cameras take over, but that might not be for another 5 years. So onto the camera. So I'm just going to go through it. I've had this for a few weeks now. I only have 2 lenses for it. This is a Canon 50mm 1.8, and it's the FD, so it's one of the old film ones with an adapter which connects to the Sony E-mount. I also have the 28 to 70, which is the kit lens for the Sony A7. It does not come with the A7R, and you can't buy it separately. Now, a few people online were saying not to use this with the A7R, you're not going to get great quality, blah 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 blah. But I got this for a bargain on eBay. Somebody was selling it, didn't need it, so I thought, why not, I'll get it. It'd be a great little lens to have for doing video work, or if I'm just, you know, I just want something light to go around for a walk with. So I got it, and I went out, I did a workshop down at Dunere Castle, and I was using this for the whole shoot, as it was the only one I had at the time, as I had this lens but I didn't have the adapter for it yet. And the quality from this lens was really good. And when I went on DxOMark to do a sort of, I don't use it as a rule of thumb to check lens comparisons on that website. It just gives me an idea of what sort of quality I might get out of it. So I had a look at this, and it was surprisingly really good, and there wasn't very much difference in detail compared to the 24 to 70, which is about £200 more than this. This lens is really good with the A7R. It's a cheap lens to use with it. You know, you can still get the autofocus, which is really interesting, really good to use. And yeah, it's a great lens. It's very light, and it covers, you know, a good wide range zoom. So from initial thoughts, I'm just going to go through the pros and cons of what I first noticed about using the camera in the last few weeks. So the pros. The first one is the megapixels. This is a 36 megapixel camera, same sensor as the D800, so you're instantly getting high quality images straight off the bat with this thing. The file size is smaller than the D800. I used to have a D800 and that was about 70 megs an image, which is quite high. This one's around 36, 38 megs. Now that is because they are compressed RAW files. And again, I saw people online complaining about that and saying, what, you're not going to be getting the full potential of the camera. And I was worried about that. I was actually thinking, am I going to be losing detail out of this amazing sensor? So what I did is I looked through D800 files. It's a rough comparison. I can't have two cameras next to each other and take the same exact shot. It was just, I was going through old images from the D800, looking through them and comparing them with this one, and I can't see much difference. I was looking at the sharpness of trees. I was looking at the sharpness of landscape shots in similar areas I've worked in the past. So certain castles around here that I've already photographed, I was comparing the detail of the bricks and they both looked amazing. I couldn't fault the A7R compared to the D800. The next thing is weight. This thing is light. It's a very light camera. It's about a third of the weight of the 5D Mark III. So when you pick it up, you feel like it's just a feather. It's absolutely great in your hand. It's got a good feel to it. It's a bit small with the grip and the hand getting around it. I've got long bony fingers, so sometimes it's a bit. I sometimes miss the big, chubby grip you get on the digital SLRs, but apart from that, it has a great feel to it. Another pro is the lenses. Now a lot of people have this in their cons section where they say there's not many lenses you can use with this lens. Well, that's complete crap, because you can use any lens with this. They're probably talking more about Sony's own line of lenses, so the 24-70, the brand new 16-35, 70-200, those lenses there. But with this camera, with the focus peaking and the magnification and the zooming and looking through the viewfinder and zooming, you can quickly focus on your own using a manual focus ring and get pin sharp focus by using the focus peaking or just the magnification. I'm using this as the Canon FD, and I was out yesterday with my partner and we were taking pictures, and I was able to use this at 1.8 and quickly focus on her eye and get a pin sharp photo without having autofocus. It just came down to quickly zooming in, which I have it on a custom preset on here, and as soon as I get it in sharp and I can see the sort of focus peaking around the eyelashes, take a shot and I look back and it's completely sharp. So that opens up a whole world of any lens you really want. People are using the Leica R lenses, Leica M, the Voigtlander, Canon, Nikon, and you can get adapters for pretty much any of these lenses to go onto this system. Another pro is the menu system. It's full of features, full of different things you can do. The zebra patterns for checking your highlights, which is something that's mainly used in video, but Sony have brought it over into the sort of photography world by using it in live view. One of the pros of this is you can now use cables with this, and what I mean by that is that you can use an intervalometer. You can attach it to I can attach it to the time-lapse equipment I use. Now previously I looked at this camera about 6 months ago about buying it, and at the time nothing was out there, no cables, no intervalometers, nothing seemed to work, and the only way you could do time-lapse was with the internal app that you could download for it. I didn't want that. I wanted to do it everything separately, so it came apparent only about a month ago where you could, and people are making them. And what the people are doing is making cables as well, like adapter cables. So this is one here, so I could use my old intervalometer I've been using for the last few years and just change the cable and just have the Sony part and the bit that goes into the intervalometer. So that works brilliantly. I've used it already and it works really well. One of the cons of this camera is the battery life. It's not great, but that doesn't mean this camera is useless. This camera is tiny. There's a lot of amazing things pushed into it, so it can't have a big, chunky, heavy battery in there. So you have to deal with the fact that you're not going to get the same amount of images, but that's easily solvable. You know, you think of it like your iPhone. The battery's never great on an iPhone, but we still use them. They still are one of the best selling phones out there, and all we do is we just take care to charge the phone. You know, I charge it every night and I make sure I don't use it over too much when I'm out. And the same thing applies to this camera. You've got a tiny little camera that can do so much, and you can just, you know, just carry some with you. You know, they're so small you can just put them in your pocket. So I always have about 3 on me, but when I've done recent landscape shoots I've only used 1 for the whole shoot. So to me that's not an issue. It just comes down to thinking ahead, buying the extra batteries which don't cost much, and you can easily put them in your pockets or your bag. So this was just a quick initial thought of the camera. Overall it's amazing. I'm loving using it. I've got 2 new lenses on the way, both Samyang lenses, so the complete manual. I've got the 14mm f2.8 and the 24mm 1.4, and they will be my primary landscape lenses with a high quality glass, and I just can't wait to use them. And I'm still using these 2 as well. They're really good lenses as well. Overall this camera is working really well for me. I don't regret selling my Canon 5D Mark III. It was a really good decision to get this. I've got something very light, easily portable. I can even use my messenger bag to transport it because I've made a sort of thing in here with foam, and I can easily carry it around, and it just feels nice and light. I'm going to go through that in a later video. As you can see, Simba agrees with everything I'm saying. Either that, or she just likes sitting on my Mac Mini because it warms her ass up. Isn't that right? Yeah, she doesn't care. Anyway, so I'm going to go through more videos in the next few months on this camera, so make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll keep you updated of my thoughts on this camera. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, see you later.